Oh, hey guys. Man, I love Comic-Con. I can't believe how many video game mascots I'm seeing here. Even the ones I don't really like that much are here. And you are? This sucks, man. I've been talking about too much PlayStation stuff lately. I mean, yeah, I like PlayStation, but I like other games too. Astro Bot came out not too long ago, and yeah, I was really excited for it, so no shit I was gonna review that. But I don't know. I hope someday I can make another Metroid video or something. That would be kinda cool. Anyway, yeah, Astro Bot is peak fiction. So like I mentioned in my Spider-Man 2 review from a long time ago, one of the things that came with my PS5 pre-downloaded was a cute little tech demo, Astro's Playroom. At least by today's standards, it's not long enough to be considered a complete game, but it's a nice addition to my library. Each level was centered around a specific component inside the actual console, like SSD Speedway, GPU Jungle, Cooling Springs. Those are just a few that I can name from the top of my head. You could collect various PlayStation accessories throughout the brand's history, adding more trinkets to your collection room. The basic gameplay on its own is just simple as all hell, running, jumping, and attacking, but each level has different gimmicks that utilize a different part of the controller, so the gameplay has creative variety to it. There's only like 3 bosses in the whole game, and the final boss is the PS1 tech demo for the T-Rex, but the bosses are still pretty fun. So yeah, Astro's Playroom was a nice little platformer and a pleasant surprise for me when I first turned on my PS5. So when I heard there was going to be a full price, full experience version of this game, I was absolutely blown away. The reveal trailer looked amazing. So many creative levels, new gimmicks, more bosses, incredible music, and a bunch of Astrobots cosplaying as other PlayStation characters. I could not wait to play this game. Let's see what other people have to say.
Astro Bot is a beautiful love letter to all the games Sony doesn't make anymore because the studios responsible either got stuck working on quadruple A prestige games or got shut down by Sony because they weren't making quadruple A prestige games. I'm so conflicted with this Astro Bot shit. Seeing Sony puppeteer the ghost of Japan studio is so gross. Seeing their remains as Team Asobi be exclusively used to jerk their branding off of their legacy, games they will never make anymore. No play, just remember, consume.
Huh. Well, moral of the story is, Twitter is full of fucking idiots. Anyway, a lot of losers were saying that this game was a hack, it was slop, and they were really mad that Sony was making a game featuring their quote-unquote dead IPs. Okay, I'm gonna go on another tangent, so if you want to just skip to the actual review, go to the timestamp in the description. But, are you guys blind or something? This art direction looks incredible.
Sackboy wasn't amazing, but he didn't feel as soulless as Astro Bot. Didn't feel as soulless. He didn't feel as soulless as Astro Bot. He didn't feel as soulless as Astro Bot.
And a lot of these people who are complaining are the ones who are usually the ones who go, "Grr, I hate realistic Sony cinematic movie games. They should make platformers instead." And now that Sony is actually making a platformer, these guys are pissed off for some reason. Also, what dead IPs? Do you mean Uncharted and Sly Cooper? If so, then you're fucking stupid. Those IPs aren't dead, they're just finished. The stories of those series were completed, so the developers chose to leave it alone afterwards. I'm seriously failing to understand the logic here. I don't know why they look at this love letter of PlayStation's history and dismiss it as a shitty, sloppy hack. Imagine if I called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate the same thing. And to be fair, it kind of is. Another reason some people would want to put Astro Bot down is the Japanese studio controversy. To put it shortly, ever since the PS1 days, Sony used to have this Japanese game division where they developed games like Ape Escape, Bloodborne, Gravity Rush, etc. Eventually, the studio was formed into Team Asobi, who's been working on small Astro projects basically just to show off new PlayStation hardware before finally making a fully fledged 3D platformer starring Astro. While the reception was like 90% positive, creative. A lot of dum-dums online were pissy about the JP Studio shutting down just so they could make quote-unquote more shitty Astro Bot games. And they were also mad that the trailers had references to dead franchises. Look, I get that it sucks they shut the studio down, but most of these franchises they call dead are just finished so the devs moved on. If anything, they should be glad these franchises are being represented in this massive love letter to PlayStation's legacy. And I'm not denying the fact that Sony is mostly focusing on cinematic games nowadays, but they're still giving some attention to stuff like Ratchet and Clank and, of course, Astro Bot. So if anything, if you're one of these people who's a little salty about the whole thing and you want Sony to make more 3D platformers, instead of complaining about it, I highly suggest that you just go support this game instead. Anyway, let's talk about the actual game now. I'm gonna be spoiling most of the game, so if you want to be surprised, then click off and come back after you've played the game. Or not, I don't really care what you do. You already clicked on the video, so I got what I needed. I think this might be the greatest game of all time. Alright, firstly, let's discuss the story. It all starts when Astro... Oh, right. This game isn't story heavy. I've been covering so many story-based games, my bad. Anyway, we start with our PS5 completely empty as we crash land on a desert planet, so it's up to us to scour different galaxies to retrieve the PS5 components and rescue as many bots as we can. Once we hop onto the DualSense to travel to the world map, we head on over to the first level. Immediately off the bat, the art direction is still amazing. It's so colorful and chipper, but things are much more grandiose than its predecessor. Everything has a technological edge to it, giving the game more of its own flair. The game kind of reminds me of Super Mario 3D World or Mario Galaxy, with each level having such a unique theme rather than having every level being segregated to whatever location it takes place in, like some other Mario games. Just in the first galaxy alone, we have a beautiful grassland with flowers and water sections, an ice cream themed snow level with ice skating, a Mayan temple, and an urban construction site. Oh, also the music is phenomenal. As for the gameplay, it's still basically the same as Astro's Playroom with basic running, jumping, and attacking, but there's a few things that make it stand out a little bit. Also, back to comparing this game to Mario, Astro's attack move kind of reminds me of Mario's spin attack from Galaxy, which just makes me think more and more that Team Asobi took a lot of notes from that game. It's not a bad thing by all means. I love Super Mario Galaxy, and I'd consider Astro Bot to be Sony's Super Mario Galaxy 3. But back to new moves, this game introduces ledge grabbing and swimming. Normally water levels or any section in a game where you have to swim isn't my favorite, so I'm glad Astro takes a simple yet effective approach. Astro automatically sinks down to the bottom and pressing the jump button makes him swim upward. It's like Mario Odyssey but faster and smoother. It's made even better when we get this penguin gimmick that allows us to jet forward in this open lagoon level. Speaking of which, the game shines in introducing fun new gimmicks and creative ways they're used in. Some of my favorite are these frog boxing gloves you can use to have long range attacks, and you can use them to activate certain objects or swing around on these cylinders marked with red paint. In the bonus room, you can use these specific cylinders and rotate them to hop onto platforms, which is really cool. Returning from Astro's Playroom is the climbing monkey gimmick, sort of. It's in the form of a little monkey on Astro's back, and you can move freely and grab and throw objects, which makes the mechanic a lot better than its previous incarnation. There's also this one that lets you turn into an indestructible ball of steel so you can roll around on spiked surfaces and you won't get crushed to death with this. All the gimmicks are amazing, but really, if I listed all of them, I'd be here all day. And I'd be a fool to not mention the controller's extra bit of immersion. The vibrations and sound effects really help put you in the game. You'll actually feel like you're stomping around on metal or grass or sand. You'll actually feel like you're a giant sponge full of water. Really, me explaining it doesn't do it any justice. The only way anyone can truly understand how amazing it feels is to actually go play the game, because gameplay clips and a stupid gay autistic nerd on the internet explaining it isn't enough to convey the feeling. Another thing the game shines in is the collectibles. The main collectible the marketing was focused on, and the game in general, is the bots. There's plenty of regular bots we can rescue in each level and in the crash site, but there's a lot of familiar faces you can rescue that add more to your hub world. The cameos are what you'd expect, like Ape Escape, Parappa the Rapper, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, Concord, The Last of Us. Well, I didn't expect this to be a Road to Ragnarok episode, but I guess we're doing this now. There's also some unique third-party guest appearances. I won't give away too much, but I wasn't expecting stuff like Street Fighter, Katamari, Silent Hill, or Persona 5. At the crash site, you can also signal the bots over to help you lift up rocks and go over ravines and stuff. It reminds me of Pikmin. I never played Pikmin. Another collectible is the returning jigsaw pieces. Once you complete a mural, something new will be available at the crash site, most notably the gacha machine, which you can spend your coins at to give the guest bots something to do, in addition to things like costumes and different colors for the DualSense. Before you give the bots an idle animation, they'll just do what I do every time before I go to sleep. Question their life choices. All in all, this is just a really fun collectathon and everything is absolutely worth hunting down. I didn't 100% it when I was recording my footage, but I might actually go back and do that soon. And more often than not, I don't even 100% games that much. Speaking of 100%ing, there's plenty of secret bonus levels you can find to rescue some more bots. Some are short bite-sized bonuses activated by crashing into comets in the world map, and some levels have secret exits used to access bonus levels in a special world. Also, there's these little challenge levels that kind of remind me of Green Star levels. Also, these are really hard, don't do them! And as I mentioned earlier, this game has its own array of boss fights returning from Astro Bot Rescue Mission, apparently. I never played it. The bosses have everything I personally want in a good boss fight. They take a mechanic introduced previously and make use of it in the most epic way possible, and the amazing music is just icing on the cake. For instance, the boss against Donkey Kong starts with him throwing girders at us, so we're forced to move forward until we make it to the boss arena where he tests us on if we know how to use the bulldog mechanic. There's also plenty of bosses sprinkled throughout a few levels in addition to the main bosses. These are also really unique, and the amount of bosses make sure every mechanic gets a boss fight, which was really cool. Whenever a boss shows up at the end of a level, it's a nice surprise, and all of them are great ways to test how much you know about the mechanics. I can't read. After beating each boss, we rescue some more PlayStation characters before we're treated with a bonus level where it pays tribute to those characters before another short boss starts in order to rescue a console component. The first bonus level is of Ape Escape, and I gotta be honest, I'm kind of a fraud. I haven't played Ape Escape yet, but I do plan to, and this level was a nice introduction to it, where we have to use this net to catch the monkeys. Some are way too fast, so you have to sneak up behind them. Also, since Sony recently added the Ape Escape games on the PS Store, I should probably give them a try. The next one is of God of War Ragnarok, and as someone who's an avid fan of God of War, I thought it was a really fun level. The Leviathan axe functions pretty faithfully, and a killer remix of the Norse theme for God of War plays in the background. Oh, if I had to nitpick, as a diehard God of War fan, I kinda wish they'd represent more than just the modern Norse games and just Ragnarok at that. I mean, it would have been cool to see a bot dressed up as Zeus or something, but I don't know. I guess Team Asobi just didn't know about the Greek era or something, but I'm not gonna dwell on it too much, it doesn't really matter. After making it back to the crash site, we have to use the controller in interesting ways to repair each component. Shortly afterward, another satellite crashes nearby, granting us access to the next galaxy, rinse and repeat. Also, I love how each component will sing along to the music when you get near them. Everything in this game just feels so good, man. I had the stupidest smile on my face throughout the entire playthrough. Every time I think they're done wowing me, I just keep getting proven wrong. This game really is one of those games that'll have you playing until you have a splitting headache and a sore thumb. Yeah, I'm not okay. For instance, after I beat this boss, we rescue this guy. Hell yes! I've already talked about how much I love the Uncharted series before, but chances are you've never heard about it because that video got fucking demonetized! So You can imagine how much I was enjoying myself with this level. It's an incredible tribute to the series. You have a little gun you can use to shoot enemies or solve puzzles. You can shoot this Jeep down to have it tumble over like in Uncharted 1. You rescue characters like Sully, Elena, Sam, Nadine, Chloe. Hell, they even squeezed a little set piece at the end. It's so good. I love Uncharted. I love this game. If I had to come up with some criticisms for this game, it'd be that Astro Bot has a lot of PlayStation stuff, and I kinda wish the IP could stand on its own. That and the game sorta utilizes the controller marginally less than Astro's Playroom, since I don't think we ever used the touchpad. But that first thing isn't even criticism, it's just a dumb little what-if scenario. After all, the game is a great platformer, and the abundance of characters are just the cherry on top to this joyous experience. The crash site feels like a museum with years of history behind it. Every decision is clearly one made for passion, and as for the touchpad thing, it was probably for the better. In Playroom, you really had to take your hand off the controller to activate zippers and shit, but you never have to do that in this game, so the pacing is significantly improved. Even when you go out of your way to find bonus areas, the game will put you on an orange trampoline to bounce you back to the main path so you don't have to painstakingly walk back. Really, this game is just a masterpiece, plain and simple. It's really hard to find anything wrong with it. Okay, well, that's pretty much everything in the game now. What else do I have to talk about? I guess we can skip to the end now. The last few bonus levels were of Loco Roco and Horizon Zero Dawn. After that, we finally acquired the protective case and we repaired the PS5 to launch into space to save the ship's CPU. Once we launched towards a portal into space, the final level is this Star Wars-esque space battle where all the bots ride on PlayStation hardware collected in the previous game, as we shoot down as many alien forces as we can. Sometimes we get to stop and defeat obstacles with the help of characters from each home console, like the Ape Escape characters for PS1, Ratchet and Clank for PS2, Nathan Drake for PS3, etc. The music here is also really good. It's wait, what? Anyway, the final boss against Nebula Pixels is everything I hoped it would be. He'll pull out a wheel to decide what mechanic he'll throw at you, and you have to use it accordingly. I kinda wish it'd be a little harder, and I wish they used more mechanics like the ball armor, but regardless, everything is perfect. The ending is a little unexpectedly sad, where Astro sacrifices himself to save all the bots one more time, and the credits roll. Oh, never mind, he's back. Just as we were repairing the PS5's components, now we have to repair Astro himself, as all the bots help out by throwing new limbs towards us. And after all that, he's okay! And as an added bonus, the first half of the credits are essentially a bonus level that thanks us at the end. Well, that was probably the best video game experience I've had in my entire life. In conclusion, Astro Bot was absolute perfection from beginning to end. The amount of love and respect the game has for Sony's impressive 30-year gaming lineup is present in every inch of the game. And besides all that, it's really just an amazing, immersive, fun, colorful, well-paced game with the right amount of content. I don't want to sound like a boomer, but in this era of microtransactions, live service games, and games releasing in unfinished states, it's great to be able to play a well-polished, fun, single-player game with no drawbacks whatsoever. My hat goes off to Team Asobi for making something on par with Super Mario Galaxy, with Astro Bot sometimes actually surpassing the bar of quality Mario games have. I love this game to death. I'm so glad it did well. It's easily the best game I played this year, and probably one of the best games of all time. Oh man, that was an awesome game. I'm glad an amazing platformer released in 2024. It's not like anything else good is gonna come out of this year. I wonder who that could be. I am sure this game will be good too. I mean,